He is known as the king of comedy, but at the same time, he's a sad clown. Most people believe he's a funny, lighthearted person, but in reality, he has had a tough life and has a unique personality. Do you already know who we're talking about? It's time to learn everything about Jim Carrey. When he was a little boy, Jim Carrey spent hours in front of the mirror, making faces and acting like a clown in front of his siblings. He could do great impressions of Leonid Brezhnev and Jack Nicholson. In school, teachers allowed him to put up little shows in front of his classmates, and only after that could they teach quietly. This, of course, were consequences of him having ADHD. He probably inherited his psychological problems from his mother. She was a hypochondriac, meaning that she lived with the fear of having a serious but undiagnosed medical condition. Therefore, she couldn't work, so Jim's father had to support the family alone. But then he lost his job. They were left with no money, and the couple and their 4 children had to move to a van. Sometime later, his father got a job at a factory. Jim and his siblings helped his father, cleaning the factory toilets. It was then that he became more and more antisocial. But despite all that, Jim loved to fool around, and he even tried to become famous. At the age of 11, Jim sent 80 parodies to the Carol Burnett Show, but he didn't get an answer. When he was 15, his father brought him to a comedy club in Toronto. Jim did a small show, but it wasn't successful. Moreover, Jim Carrey was bullied by his peers, but he learned to answer to their aggression by acting weird, playing the fool, jumping around, and even dancing. This was a great way to scare off the bullies, but Jim got used to react like that in any situations, which affected his life in later years. By the end of the 1980s, he got married to Melissa Womer. They were very poor and used to fight all the time. But during their fights, Carrey started to act foolish and throw tantrums. Over time, they got divorced. Luckily, Carrey's career was improving. In 1985, way before he became famous, he wrote himself a $10 million check for acting services rendered, dated it 10 years in the future, and kept it in his wallet. In November 1995, he actually started getting paid that much for acting. By the middle of the 1990s, he had starred in several films, including The Mask, Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, and Batman Forever. His extraordinary and unusual manners and facial expressions conquered the hearts of both the audience and critics. He received several awards for his work and became the highest-paid comedian after getting $20 million for one role. And he was a very eccentric person at work. For example, during the filming of Liar Liar, he actually hit his head against toilets, walls, and other objects to create sounds for the movie. Eventually, the actor decided to try more serious roles. In 1998, he starred in the movie The Truman Show, playing a character much like Carrey himself. A year later, he portrayed the famous American comedian Andy Kaufman in the movie Man on the Moon. Many believed Carrey would not be able to handle the role, but he took it very seriously. He personally interviewed everyone who knew Kaufman, and on the set asked everyone to call him Andy. The results surpassed everyone's expectations. In 2015, the artist began to suffer from depression after the suicide of his former girlfriend Catriona White. For a long time, he refused to appear in public and didn't want to talk to anyone, but gradually returned to his usual life. As Jim himself admits, painting was a great help. Nowadays, the actor keeps playing new roles and helping different charitable organizations. Some people may think he's weird or eccentric, but it's clear that the world loves him, and his fans are eager to see him every year in some new film. Friends, tell us some interesting facts about your favorite actor. Maybe your comment would be the inspiration for our next video. For now, give us a like and subscribe. This was your favorite channel, True Story. See you next week.